If you wear your race on your sleeve, then you will be clothed in supremacy. There's no way around that. And black supremacy is just a byproduct of white supremacy. And we all know that white supremacy is not the answer when we're talking about spiritual evolution, when we're talking about raising the vibration of the planet. There's a ceiling there in your growth. Now, yes, that supremacist mindset can change the economics of a people. It can raise them up from the depths of ignorance. It can raise the consciousness. And shoot, black supremacy has created some of the most intelligent people on the planet. But when you're talking about reaching your highest level of spiritual evolution, when you're talking about really unifying humanity, that cannot happen under any form of supremacy. It just can't. Now, pride and supremacy are different things, right? The mind automatically will identify as something. We have 4 dimensions of mind. One of them is our ego identity. And that dimension of mind will say, look, I am something. It might identify as a race, but you just have to realize that you will one day hit your head on some ceiling if you're not identifying as the cosmic consciousness or that God being inside of you, that universal energy that connects and unites us all, right? Just imagine being so proud of your city that you'll never leave it. You can never really expand and explore the world. You're limited to just that place. If you limit your identity to your race, if that's the highest level of identification you have, you can never fully evolve into that universal being that you were born and destined to be. And when we're talking about walking into a room full of people from other nations and other races, talking about world peace, how can we start off that conversation and saying, look, I'm superior to you, you're inferior to me, purely off of our genetics, of our race. So now, okay, now let's talk about peace. How does that work? How does that work? Right, so to evolve, to go beyond that, we have to put the supremacist mindset to the side. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of where you're from. Being proud of where you come from, because yes, that connects us all. There's a certain thing, there's a certain cultural significance to being raised in the same format as another person, in the same place, under the same paradigm. But the only way we're going to get out of this white supremacist paradigm is to completely step outside of it and not mirror it. Like, we all know that in this white supremacist reality, black and brown indigenous people have been oppressed and abused. It's an abusive relationship. And to get out of an abusive relationship, you don't go to the gym to get strong to fight back, because the oppressor or the abuser can go to the gym and get strong same time as you, right? You're never going to beat them at their own game. The only way to get out of that abusive relationship is to leave altogether, completely bounce. We have to leave the mindset of supremacy altogether and realize that black supremacy started because there was a need. When you're talking about the Jim Crow laws, when you're talking about the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, this world was oppressing us as a people. And maybe it could still be today to some form of fashion. Yes, it still exists in many forms of fashions. But there was a need for that mindset. A lot of people's self-esteem was down, right? Our economics was down. And it was meant to raise us up as a people. But we're in a new sun cycle now. We're in a new 24,000 year cycle. Things have to change. We can't use those old tactics. We can't reverse engineer white supremacy to beat it. We have to step outside of it and exist in a realm where they can't even connect. They can't even understand how we're thinking so universal, so connected to other people. That's the biggest fear. We hear that all the time. The biggest fear is when poor people unite. No, the biggest fear is when all humanity unites. When brown, black, Asian, Indian unite. And whites as well. Those who don't exist under that paradigm. Now, many people are byproducts of it, meaning they benefit from white supremacy, but they may not partake in it as far as oppressing people, but they're beneficiaries of it, right? It has to dissolve, and we're not going to beat it by mirroring it. Now, for a person who is raising their consciousness, right, may come from a place where they don't even really look at racism or racial things as in any kind of way. They may start reading history, start to evolve their consciousness, and in their mind, they're waking up, right? And then they hit that level of black supremacy. They're listening to me talk, and they think I sound crazy. Man, he's a sellout. I'm not listening to this guy. What is he talking about? And I was at that same point, at a point in time, where I was walking around and thinking anybody that thought opposite of this supremacist mindset of black is superior, that there was something wrong with them. They were a sellout, they were weak. But that was a limited vibration. When you really tap within and not deal with the external world as the ultimate reality, and you can turn within, your spiritual evolution will evolve you beyond any supremacist mindset. it really will take you to a level of oneness. And you can't reach it. You can't even understand this rhetoric. You can't hear these words and believe these words when you're in a supremacist mindset. And how do you get out of that? That's going to come naturally. You might be part of an organization. You might be part of a group. And when you start to reach those limits and hit those ceilings and it's not evolving the way you like, or when you tap into a certain level of spiritual science, when you get deep into your meditations, when you get to calm down and turn within, then you'll start to see it. See, it's a difference between intelligent, the intellect, and the identity. Two different dimensions of mind. Now, your intelligence, your intellect, will have you studying and reading, and of course it'll wake you up and you'll be like, okay, I'm tapping into a certain form of knowledge here, knowledge of self. But many people get stuck in that paradigm of reading, of learning, and they never slow down and turn within, close their eyes and really sit with self. And when you start to sit with self and master self, you'll hear answers from self, and you'll realize that you are more than just this race. You are more than just your skin color and your genetics. You are a God being, a universal being. See, we might walk around even in our supremacist mindset and call ourselves God beings, but it's not the real awakening of it. It's a universal consciousness. It's an energetic feeling. It's a vibration that'll raise our planet. And that's going to save us from planetary destruction. The vibration that we're vibrating at as a planet. When that meteorite is headed towards the planet and the energy and the vibration of our planet bounces it away from us because we are at harmony and at peace. We are a living entity, an organism. But when that meteorite is headed towards us and we mirror destruction on the planet because we have not unified as a people, when that black and white and Asian and Indian are still fighting amongst each other, and even same races are fighting amongst each other, that vibration will invite that destruction from that meteorite to wipe us out. So in order to raise our vibrations as a planet, you have to raise your level of spiritual awareness, spiritual consciousness, and not just intellectual consciousness. Using the intellect all the time, and never really identifying yourself as its true self, as its true being. But you can't escape the fact that you're going to label yourself as something, right? You have to realize that I am a human being and those are animals. That's a tree. This is food. This is poison. This is dirt. This is soil. These are leaves. We identify things. And in that case, you'll identify yourself as your race, as your nationality. That is fine. But if that is the ultimate reality, that is destructive. So how can we evolve beyond that? Just take time to sit with yourself, turn within. Trust what you hear when you turn within. No longer let the words of man shape what you identify as. Because the things of old is not going to take us into the new. The mindset of the old is not going to take us into the new. And your mind is a byproduct of all the people that have come before you and the things that they said, the things that they've labeled things as. You're taking from what they said and you're going on top of that. But we have to realize that we are living in a white supremacist planet for the most part, especially those people here in the North American continent. And if we want to evolve beyond that and step into this world democracy, into this worldwide unity, we have to change how we think and no longer think we have to fight back. Supremacy versus supremacy. Blacks are superior, whites are superior. No, I'm superior, and we're fighting a superiority race, a superiority war. Who wins that? Who wins that?